Welcome back to another episode of Tips from the Pros. On this episode, I interview Sharad Mehta, the CEO and founder of REsimpli. This is the ultimate CRM. We use it day in and day out. We've been using it for a few months now, and I love the CRM. It literally takes care of, if you're a wholesaler, it's got automations, it's got drip campaigns. You manage your calls, your text messaging, everything from this one CRM. As well as if you're a flipper, manages all your projects, your numbers. I mean, it's pretty much integrated with QuickBooks. It's an incredible CRM. And we spent the first half of the interview going over his whole experience as a real estate investor. He gave some amazing insight into marketing, into how to find mentors, how to find coaches, mindset, so many things. And then the second half, we talked about the CRM, the features, all the benefits of it. And for just you listeners, there's a special discount code. So stick to the end so you make sure you get that discount when you get the CRM, because you will not regret having the CRM as part of your business. So with that being said, let's get into the show. So Sharad Mehta, welcome to an investor's journey. Tips from the Pro, sir. Thank you for doing this with us.
Thank you for having me, man. I am excited to be on the show. I'm excited to be, on this interview with you. Sorry, we had to reschedule the first time and we delayed this one by 30 minutes. But I'm excited.
It's definitely going to be worth it. I'm excited about getting into everything, especially the CRM. I've told you already that I think it's amazing. So I'm excited to get into all of that, but I like starting off every interview the same way, is let me know, what is it that got you into real estate investing above everything else? Like, what made you want to get into real estate?
Yeah, for me, so a bit of background. I used to be an accountant. I was a CPA. I was working for one of the large accounting firm, Ernst & Young. I was enjoying my job. I mean, not crazy about it, but while I was working, I wanted to do something on the side. So I was doing a lot of investing in stocks and bonds, and I absolutely sucked at it. Like, it was every stock that I picked was a loser. So I started looking at other options, and I've always been in personal finance, also a huge follower of Dave Ramsey, Susie Orman. And then I used to follow these personal finance blogs, The Simple Dollar and a couple of other ones. I don't remember the names. So one of the blogs that I was reading had, the comment section is always more exciting, than the actual blog. So I was reading the comment section, and somebody had posted a link to a book called Flip. So I clicked on it. It took me to Amazon, and that's like a whole, rabbit hole. And then when I clicked on it, another suggested books popped up, which was The Millionaire Real Estate Investor. And it was something about the title or whatnot. It just I gravitated towards it. I read the book and I'm like, yeah, this is what I want to do. So that's kind of how I got started. The goal was passive income, or just be more in control of my life, my hours, my schedule, my time.
Wow. So did you ever read the book Flip?
I did. Yeah.
Okay. And
after I read The Millionaire Real Estate Investor, then I read the book Flip. Yeah.
It's actually very funny that you kind of got started that way, because I grew up in construction, and I remember wanting to get into real estate investing after I renovated a few houses for investors, and I realized, oh my goodness, you can actually make money doing what I do on the physical labor side.
Right.
And I asked my wife at the time, because I was living in Argentina. I had to go back to Argentina, and I asked her to get me some books on real estate. And the one that I told her to get me was the one by Donald Trump, who at the time wasn't president. So nobody hated him at the time. But he had written the book on Real Estate Investing 101. So I was like, well, he's the biggest real estate investor I know. And she ended up getting me that one and Rich Dad Poor Dad, which I never even heard of. Rich Dad Poor Dad. I didn't, she brings me this book, and I see this purple cover book. I was like, what the hell is this? I was like, who's this, some Chinese guy? I was like, what is this? Like, I'm, like, never heard of this. And she says it came highly recommended. And till this day, I still never read the Donald Trump Real Estate Investing 101
Oh,
book.
really?
I started with Rich
No.
Dad, and it just took off from there. I still never read that Donald Trump book. So
Yeah.
kind of
No, I mean
interesting.
it's funny, man. Like sometimes you read these books and you don't realize what impact that book will have on you.
Mm,
But now, like some of the things I do in my business, my real estate business, my software business, and when I think about like why do I do things the way I do, I'm like, oh no, I can't believe like it's the book that I read, and I'm still kind of living what the book
yes.
taught. So it's interesting, yeah. Like some of those books you read them, and they're like just have such a huge impact. I mean, you don't get like an epiphany or something, but it's just like your thought process changes. So that was one of the books, and then it led to other books. Then I got I found bigger pockets. I got very active there.
Mm.
Like any question I had, like from 2009 10 is when I started investing. I would just go there, you know read up a lot, ask questions, and then just learn from there. So yeah, it was a very interesting journey.
And after that, after you read that book and everything, like what really got you into your first investment? Like how did that first investment come about for you?
The first investment I bought, I still own that property. It's a 2-unit property. It was listed on the market for 65,000, and I think I got it for about 20 or 20 under 25,000. Um, again, I bought it August 2010, and my whole thought process was, it's listed for 60, and I think I offered 20,000 to begin with. My thought process, what's the worst that's going to happen is they're going to say no, but at
Mm,
least I'll just get it out of my system to start making offers, right? It wasn't the first property I made offer on, but it was the first that I actually got under contract and bought it. But so that was my whole process, was thought process. Hey, I just make an offer. The worst that can happen is somebody says no, and then you can just keep, it's an iterative process. You can just keep improving, but you start make an offer at a number that you absolutely feel 100% confident that there's nothing that's going to go wrong. You have equity in the property, and then from there, if it gets accepted, it's upside from there. So yeah, and then 3 weeks after that, I bought my second property, which was the 3-unit, and I still own that also. And any property that I bought for my rental portfolio, I haven't sold any of them.
my goodness. So buy and hold all
Right.
the way. When was this? When did you start your first property?
2010, August
2010.
20, yeah, August 2010.
So
Yeah,
since 2010, you bought that one. 3 weeks later, you bought the three
the three
units
unit, right.
and just haven't sold. And where did you buy these properties?
They're all in Northwest Indiana, right outside of Chicago. So I used to live in Chicago. I live in Toronto, Canada now. I used to live in Chicago downtown. So again, like I literally followed the book Millionaire Real Estate Investor. It said, just just look at everything within 45 minutes to 1 hour radius from where you live and start basically looking at all the neighborhoods. And then I had never even honestly heard of, I didn't even realize I was so stupid that I was literally right next door to this in state of Indiana. But then, once I drew that circle, I'm like, oh, holy crap, I can't believe a different state falls within my 45 minutes to an hour drive radius. So that just got me more interested. I started looking a little bit more into it, and the prices were completely different. Indiana is way more landlord friendly.
Mm.
The ROI is much better. So that just, a light bulb went off, and just kind of started doing more research. And yeah, I just bought one property in Chicago. That was a condo that my wife and I used to live in. But other than that, everything else has been in Indiana.
Okay. One thing that I
Right.
like that you said is how, you set your goal of what it is that you wanted to pick up, and you were willing to walk away from anything that didn't hit that goal. Where
Right. Absolutely.
one thing that I'm seeing, especially I've seen it and I see it more and more now, is how many people are becoming motivated buyers.
Right.
They have their goal and they're saying, I really can only afford this kind of property, and then not even that you say, oh, years are going by, they're not buying anything. No, like weeks are going by that they
Right.
haven't found anything, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, let me lower my standards a little bit and let me lower them a little
Right.
bit more. And I'm like, oh my
Right.
God. Like,
I know.
you know.
It's 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 hard to be disciplined, man. I mean,
Mhm.
especially in the day and age that we live in, everything is instant gratification. You order something on Amazon, it shows up at your doorstep like the same day now. It's really hard to be patient. It's really hard to be disciplined. You know, but that's where the opportunity is. People are going to jump in, like you said, motivated buyers. They're going to jump in. They're going to make a mistake, but then on the back end of it, there's going to be opportunities for people who are disciplined about their investment. I mean, I'm not saying I'm the most disciplined person, but when it comes to certain things, I'm disciplined. I know, okay, I just need to follow this, and then that's all. Ignore everything else outside of kind of what my focus is.
Well, I mean, and you are more disciplined than most because,
Right.
again, I always try to tell people, I've kind of tried to make it our little shtick of saying real estate investing the right way because I believe in the power of real estate investing. And
Right.
if it's done right, not speculating in real estate investing, not getting into it because you feel like it's going to go out of style. Like I always try to tell people, like, people need a roof over their heads. Like,
Right.
real estate's not going out of style. Just be patient.
Right. Yeah.
And they just they're like, oh, well, maybe let me lower my standards a little bit. I'm like, if you've never done this, we are talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars. This is not an
Right.
area that you should play with.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, it's simple, man. I mean, like I've read in a books, and then to me, it just comes down to the secret to be successful or do better in life is focus on one thing and focus long term. That's it.
Mm.
When you try to do too many different things, it doesn't get you anywhere. Just focus on one thing with long term in mind. And I mean, it's worked. It makes me happy. you know it makes me happy. It keeps me sane. It keeps me like focused on what I want to do. It keeps me in my happy zone with, hey, this is where I enjoy working. This is what I love doing, and that's what I need to keep doing more of.
And what is it that you use, or do you have any techniques or anything that you've developed throughout the years that helps you stay focused? Because I mean, and it happens to me a lot. People, they call it ADD or whatever the heck you want to label it as, but you kind of get that shiny penny syndrome sometimes. You see
Right.
opportunities, you see this thing, you see that. What is it that maybe you use to stay focused, to follow one thing at a time, or to follow one strategy at a time?
I mean, like the part of that is like, again, in this day and age, like I'm not active on social media. So
Mm.
like the only time I log on to social media and I have that page bookmark is when I go to our Facebook group, the REsimpli Facebook. Other than that, I don't go to any other Facebook, no social media, none whatsoever, because it's easy to look at someone and say, hey, I mean, when you look at somebody on social media, you're looking at highlights of their life and you compare those with your worst moments.
Hmm.
So it's not a fair comparison. So you know I avoid it as much as I possibly can. To me, I feel like that gives me peace of mind, but I'm not like trying to chase something. As long as I'm happy with what's working for me, then I don't need to chase something that I never had a desire for, but all of a sudden everybody else has a desire for that, and then to me it feels like, I mean, I'm still human. I have those emotions, those cravings. So I'm gonna gravitate towards those things because that seems to be the hot new thing that everybody's talking about.
Yeah.
Just focus. It's just less input is better for me. Just the less I know, the happier I am.
And that is such powerful insight. I honestly, as you're saying it, like I'm getting kind of goosebumps just thinking about how accurate that is, especially with social media. Things are moving so quickly, and what you said before about instant gratification. People need to do something and get rewarded right now because that's what
Yep.
you're being trained, especially with social
Right.
media. With all this, like you're getting that feedback, that hit so quickly that
Right.
it just builds those habits. And one thing that
Right.
I'm noticing behind you is that you have the book Deep Work.
Yeah.
So I love
Yeah.
that book.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's one of the pillars, in my life that I live it every single day. Every single day. That's just part of. what I want to do. I mean, again, it's like some of the books that you read and you want to make part of your life. And I have another chart on my wall.
Mm.
It's like the one thing 66-day habit, and
Okay.
that's if you have read that, it takes
Yep.
66 days to follow a habit. So those are again certain things I follow, like whether it's with my diet or whatever that might be. Just I mean, again, the less I know, the happier I am. But the more information you have, then it's just like way too much. I mean, your brain cannot process all that. It's just like way too much going
Hmm.
on. And then, just naturally my default state, or most of the people default state, is laziness. You know, it's easy to be lazy. So the more information you have, more overwhelmed, and then the less you end up doing. So yeah, the less I know, the better I, you know, do on a day-to-day basis.
And I wonder if you agree with this too. It's so much with so much of this information and you moving so quickly with so much information hitting you, it's gotten to a point where I speak to people. I try to specialize more in helping people get started with real estate because that was definitely one of the barriers I struggled the most when I got started.
Right.
Um, and it's kind of that analysis paralysis at this point. There's just way too much
Oh
information
yeah.
out there. There's too
Right.
many, so-called gurus and all these people, especially on social media, that everybody claims to be, oh, look at real estate. Look how easy it is. Look how
Right.
easy this is. Anybody can do it.
Right.
And I'm like, you get hit with all of this, and then I talk to people that I've been studying real estate for a year, 2 years. I'm like, studying really?
Right.
Are you getting your MBA in real estate? Like, what are you looking to do with this? You got to
Right.
implement it.
It's a simple business, man. I mean, when you think about it, it's not a very complicated business. Like, you can literally get started right now and just go out and make offers. But again, I mean, it's hard, man. Like, think about it. Like, there's a research that I read. Let's say if, and it's that's the world that we live in. Let's say if you had been right out of the college, you had been always wanted to get a job with company, whatever, X, right?
Hmm.
You wanted to make $100,000. You get that job, you get that offer. You're like, holy crap, this is amazing. I'm happy. You're like the happiest person you can be. You find out your best friend who went through the same program, he got a job with the same company for 150,000, right? Nothing changed in your situation, right? You still have the company you want. You still are making the money you wanted, but now the only thing has changed is somebody is making more money than you. It just naturally your happiness goes down. Nothing changed in your situation. Everything is exactly the same. So it's a challenge, man. It's a big challenge that everybody has to deal with.
Yeah.
So like you said, it's just the more information you take, it'll just overwhelm you. It'll just overwhelm you so much that you end up doing nothing. It's better to just start with basic information, go out, make a very conservative offer, and just learn the process. Work with somebody who knows what they're doing. Work with a mentor. Work with a coach who knows what they're doing, and then just let them help you improve the process along the way.
Right. Yeah, because
Right.
now working with a coach, working with a mentor, somebody that is working specifically with you. So
Right.
they're working on specific
On your
actions
situation.
that, yeah,
Exactly.
exactly, versus this broad understanding of like,
Exactly.
hey, here's every time I see somebody come up with a course, like a
Right.
one size fits all kind of course, I was like, you don't flip proproperties in San Antonio
Exactly.
like you even do in Austin. And that's a city
Right.
away, not even another state. So
Exactly.
I mean, I
Yeah.
completely agree, and I think it's some definitely very important information that you're releasing here because, again, I speak to a lot of people consistently, and this is always the holdup. It's just that overanalysis, overthinking, and I think about
Right.
like my time why I got success is because I do more than I think, right? Where
Right.
I'm not over analyzing so many things.
Right.
Like I've never bought like really any coaching programs. I've never bought anything. Like I just, okay, this is kind of the path, right? Let me just
Right.
go through and see what I've learned.
Right.
And
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, absolutely, man. I mean, it's best to work with someone who's going to work with around your situation, your circumstances, rather than just give you a blanket, statement. Hey, this is how you're supposed to run. Exactly. I mean, somebody who's in San Diego is going to have a completely different business from somebody who's in San Antonio or Chicago or New York. So, you have to look at, okay, this is the market that I am in. What works best for me? How competitive that market, what are the price point, like who else is in your market that you can work with. There's so many variables that you cannot just take one generic course and apply it to everyone, all across all the markets.
So how would you recommend, if somebody that's listening and is looking to get started, how do you recommend them find perhaps a mentor, or coach, or somebody that they can rely on to get this kind of information? Do you have any process you follow with this, or any ideas?
I mean, the first thing is, even within real estate, when you look at it, there's like so many things you can do. You can do buy and hold, you can do land investing, you can do fix and flip, you can do turnkey, you can do wholesaling, you can do, like there's so many things like tax liens and whatnot. The first thing is, figure out what is it that you want to do. That's the most important thing, and just focus on that. Once you focus on that, then find someone who's already doing that, that specific thing, and then just ask them. If they are a coach, if they're a mentor, ask them. I mean, that's probably one of the best investment you're going to make. And it's not an expense. It's an investment that you're making. I have masterminds that I'm part of. I have coaches that I work with. It's not an expense for me. I mean, these are people that are going to help me make decisions that are going to pay 10x what I'm investing in them. 100x in some cases, because that's the decision I made. Okay, and then these have to be people that have already done what I am wanting to do. If I wanted to do fix and flip, I don't want to work with somebody who's in automotive, for example, because it's not the same thing. It's flipping cars versus flipping houses. Those are two different industries. Even like, flipping fix and flip houses, it's different from somebody who just owns rental properties. Right. So you want to find someone that who's doing that, and ask them to mentor you, ask them to coach you, and then just go from there.
I think that's I definitely agree with that. I guess that layout of how you find a mentor, because I mean, that's exactly what I always recommend and how I did it.
Right.
I always wanted to be in buy and hold, and I found the buy and hold buyers, investors in my area, and I just went and I was like, hey, is there anything I can do to bring you value?
Yeah.
And in turn, they taught me everything about how to analyze a property, how to analyze the numbers. And there's no better course or education than real world experience when you're walking 100%. The house and they're giving you the numbers on that house. It's just it sits so much longer in your head,
Yeah. Exactly. Really... I mean, yeah, and then you're learning from somebody else's experience. You're learning from other people's mistakes. So you're not having to make the same mistakes on your own dime. You learn. I mean, everybody makes mistakes. We bought some crappy houses, like, oh man, I wish I never bought. But that's part of learning. You make one mistake, that's okay. But if you make the same mistake over and over again, then it's really your fault.
Yeah, I completely agree. Now, one thing, so you talked about the properties that you started and everything. How has your investing evolved until now? Like, what is it that you focus on primarily? Are you doing only buy and hold? Do you do some fix and flips, multifamily? Like, what's your investment portfolio kind of look like?
It's single family houses, and it's most of it is fix and flip. I would say 60% retail, about 40% turnkey, but single family houses. So I own a property management company, and I own the fix and flip business, and I own the software company, and then my own rental properties.
And how many properties do you currently own as rentals?
I have about 75 units, and most of them are paid for free and clear. That was influence of Dave Ramsey. Honestly, I would have never planned it, and I never thought I would. But again, like, the Dave Ramsey had huge influence on that.
So let me push back a little bit on this and see where your thought process is. I listen to a lot of economists and investors. I try to get both sides of all stories. And you're looking at right now that we're pretty much in an inflationary period. They're keep dumping more money into the market and all of this. Having your houses free and clear, do you feel like that's the best use of the money? Or if you were to leverage that, do you feel like
No, it's
that would
not.
make
Yeah,
more sense?
it's definitely not the best use of the money. I mean, I understand that, I used to be an accountant, so I totally understand that. But again, like having that comfort level of knowing, okay, I have this income coming that's free and clear is worth me way more than having this leverage. I mean, again, this is my
Yes.
personal decision. I totally understand I could leverage and I could get 3x the number of doors that I have. I totally understand that, financially it's not the smartest decision, but for me, for my family, for my situation, it gives me peace of mind knowing, if some of my tenants all of a sudden don't want to pay rent, it's not, I don't have a bank knocking down my door and saying, hey, you got to pay your mortgage. Again, this is my comfort level, my decision. But again, yes, somebody starting out, again, I mean, that's one area I'm not very disciplined in. So that's sort of like the
Mm-hmm.
forced, thing that I've done to make myself disciplined in that, where if I had this extra cash, then I might get a little bit aggressive and whatnot and invest in some properties that I really shouldn't have. So this is how I keep myself like disciplined. Okay, this is kind of sort of my, passive income that I have coming in. And I don't want to touch that. Everything else I could go out and invest in and be very speculative.
Yeah. I mean,
Right.
it's, I really commend you on all this because you do exactly what keeps you profitable in business,
Right.
and it keeps you so well grounded because what you decided to do was decide, like, what does success look like for me, right? And success
Exactly.
looks like for me is this. And you
Right.
stick to that regardless of what, you said it. You're like, yeah, I understand how that might make sense, but for
Right.
me, this is what
Right.
makes sense. And
Yeah.
nothing is more true than what makes sense for you.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I don't have any desire to drive any fancy cars or, live in a mansion or anything. I don't, it just makes me happy. Like for me, owning my time is worth way more than anything else. Like, I get to wear like shorts and t-shirt every day. I don't have to report to anyone. I do what I absolutely love doing. And, that's worth way more than, having some extra houses or extra money in my bank account.
And that's powerful. You have your own definition of what financial freedom means for you, and it seems
Right.
like you definitely have reached a level of that freedom that gives you the flexibility to do the things that you find the passion in
Right.
and you enjoy doing. So that's awesome. That's amazing to hear. I don't hear if any that have reached that level, and it doesn't mean, a lot of people always think that in order to reach that level you need, to be making tens of millions of dollars. And it's just
Right.
like, no, if you,
No.
there's people that live perfectly happy at 100 grand a year. So if you can
Right.
do it where you can generate that passively, like, you hit that level.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, if everything you want to do, you're happy with 100,000, then like just, what I was saying, just because somebody else is making 150 doesn't mean you have to do that also.
Right.
I mean, you should if you want to, if that's what you always like, not because somebody from outside is influencing that decision. It has to come from within, otherwise you're not going to give it all and you're going to have like resentments about other things. So
Yes.
that's a decision that, you have to make. You have to know what really makes you happy.
And that's when you start developing the stress, the anxiety, the sleepless
Yeah,
nights, because you're chasing something that is not actually what you wanted, but you feel like society demands
yeah,
that of you.
exactly. Exactly. Yeah, like before
Mm.
this call, I emailed you and I said, "Hey, I'm going to be late. I don't have email on my phone because I choose not
Yeah.
to have email on my phone." That's that's something that could get me into a rabbit hole. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to not have email. If I don't want to have that anxiety about getting back to someone or whatnot. So that's something I feel good about, and that's worth more to me than anything else, like making extra money or getting another deal or whatnot.
Right. No, that's very powerful. And again, there's so many premises for there that come from the book Deep Work that I definitely loved. And I definitely recommend everybody listening, go check out that book and rewind everything that you just heard. Because I think the tips that you've given and everything is, if you're feeling stuck right now, that's why most likely you're stuck. You're just measuring yourself by the wrong things. With that being said, the real estate market has shifted tremendously since March of 2020 till now. It's been insane ever since the pandemic hit and everything. What are your thoughts? How do you see the real estate market, and how have you adapted or maybe made some shifts to this new market that we're in?
Yeah, I mean, like, honestly, I didn't anticipate, like, for the first 2 or 3 months, we kind of put our marketing on hold, which wasn't the smartest thing we did. But, again, I didn't think the market was going to behave the way it did. But, just like people just got crazy about buying houses all of a sudden, like, they were going to run out of houses. But now where we are in my market, we're looking to focus on like sub 200,000 price point, because that's a price point where there's going to be demand from first time home buyers. And the worst case, we can always rent it out, make money, and sell it as a turnkey property also. So for us, the 125 to 175 ideally, but up to 200,000 is a sweet spot for us. So any house that we can get where the retail value would be 125 to 175, that's a no-brainer for us. Once it gets above 200, that's where we have to look at it and see, okay, where the market is. But so far the market seems to be it's starting to slow down. I look at some like mortgage numbers, for example. There are less people applying for mortgage from a couple of months ago, so which is generally a leading indicator. If less people are looking for loans, there's going to be less people wanting to buy houses. I mean, it has slowed down a little bit, but not to the point where we need to panic. I mean, we're just being more conservative. I mean, again, that's part of like my personality. I'm generally a little bit conservative guy, but again, we're trying to be under that 200,000 price point. Ideally under 175, but 200,000 price point is where we had a couple of different exit strategies.
That quote from I want to say, I think they're credited to Bill Gates. I'm not sure, but they say you underestimate what you can do in 10 years and overestimate what you can do in 1 year. It just, the more you talk, the more it resonates as far as yourself. When everybody I meet, I tell them, in real estate, slow is fast, right? Where it's like, go slow, put firm footing down, make sure that every investment, every purchase you're doing is smart. It's, it's hitting your goals. Because look at yourself. I mean, you started in 2010, we're in 2021, and you have 50 plus doors free and clear. I mean, it gets out of, you can scale very quickly in this business if you have the patience at first. Right.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, the compound interest, it's really the eighth wonder of the world. I don't know who said it, but it really, really, I mean, it feels very slow in the beginning, first like 2-3 years, but then once you get the power of, compound interest kick in, I mean, it really starts, speeding up from there.
Yes. Compound interest. I want to say it was, maybe it was.
I think it was Albert Einstein.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. He said that it's one of the biggest powers in the world, the compound interest.
Exactly.
And when you understand it and you start calculating it, it's insane. I always use this kind of thought process that you always try to be 1% better than you were yesterday, and that's it. And when you think about it, you say 1%, what's that? But when you compound that 1%, over the course of months, all of a sudden you're tremendously better than you were.
Exactly. With everything in your life, with everything. We're not just like investment, with your personal health, with finances, your business and whatnot. relationship. I mean, it makes a huge difference.
So let me ask you, what is it that you do to find your deals then? Because you live in Canada, but you
Right.
invest in Indiana still.
Indiana. Yep.
So
So
how are you doing it?
we do a lot of direct mail. So number
Mhm.
one is direct mail. We buy from other investors also. So far this year we've done about 21 deals, uh, and so most of them came from direct mail. We do cold calling, and we buy from other investors and online PPC, Google Ads, those sort of things. But direct mail, I would say, is generally tends to be the most consistent for us.
So you do online PPC. How's that going for you? Because I'm seeing more and more people get into this, and
Right,
I also see a lot of people underestimate how much work it is to have the online brand, the online
right,
funnels, to make sure
right.
your money is being well spent.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we are doing honestly such a good job at it. I mean, we get leads from it, but I think our challenge is the lead conversion is where we're not, where we would like to be. So that's somewhere we need to be in, we need to improve. We're getting good quantity of leads, and there's some good quality leads also. But if there's one area we can improve on, it's definitely the lead conversion. That's something we need to do a better job of. Yeah,
And what you
especially
mean
the
by
PPC one.
so by lead conversion, do you mean that you don't have maybe the people in place to make sure that they're converting on every single one,
Right.
so things are falling through the crack?
Yeah, I mean, not necessarily things are falling through the crack. I mean, we have, automation set in,
Hmm.
where, once a lead comes in, they get on a drip campaign and all that good stuff. But I think it's the, we don't have the right people to manage some of the process. Those are manual, like actually calling the people, like there's certain things. I mean, you can automate 90% of it, text message, email, direct mail, and all that. But it's like the last 10% where you actually need to get somebody on the phone. You get somebody on the phone and talk to them. I think that's where we're not maybe doing as good a job. If like finding the right person with the right skill set, the right, disc, score or whatnot. I think
Hmm.
that's the person we're lacking right now in our business.
Yeah, and I mean, this is something that we are struggling ourselves as well. We have the opportunity. We have a lot of deals coming in. We have, like you said, we have. Luckily, to what we're going to be talking about next, most of that process completely automated, and it's
Right.
amazing. But then it's that last 10%.
Yep.
Now you got somebody that's interested. Now you got to take it to a close, and
Exactly.
it's just
Yep.
that part. It's difficult to find people at this moment. Like, I
Right.
mean, it doesn't even seem to be a money issue. It just seems to be, I don't know. We can't find people that want to
I know
work. I don't know.
we've noticed that in our property management company. It's like people don't want to work. It's amazing. People just don't want to work. I mean, it's really hard to find good people. Extremely hard to find good people. I think that's the part that we are struggling with right now, is not having the
Yeah.
right people. Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if maybe once forbearance is up, once the evictions start coming in for the
Yep.
apartments and all these things, if that maybe starts lighting a fire under their
Yeah.
ass that makes them want
Exactly.
to start working again.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, some people are getting like free money, where they're getting money
Yeah.
that they don't have to work for. I mean, and then that makes people lazy.
Yes.
And it's hard, man. I mean, we're looking to hire somebody in a property management company in our, and flipping business also. And it's like the quality of people that we get, they're just not interested. It's like they come in and say, "Oh, I'm going to be available from this time to this time. This is how much I want to make." Does that work for you? Yes or no? No, I'm out of it. Yeah, it's been interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, we're even having problems with contractors. That it's getting to a point where before we used to have trouble finding contractors that were charging a reasonable rate. Now we're
Right.
having trouble finding contractors at any rate. It doesn't even
Yeah.
matter if you're overpaying. They're
Right.
like, okay, yeah, that's fine. Then they just don't show up.
Yeah. They don't show up. They don't
Okay,
return calls. Yeah. And you're like, what's going on?
yeah.
Just. people don't want to make money anymore. Yeah.
I'm honestly, and I've been doing some research and everything. We do a show every Friday we call Coffee with the Johns. We review articles and things in the news.
Yeah.
And I've been doing some research to try to figure out unemployment and what's going on. And I just, I don't know. My question is like, how are people surviving is what I'm curious about. You understand? Like the only
Right.
thing is because, okay, stimulus and all this, but it's not that much money that you're getting.
Right.
So it's like, it's got to be that, your mortgage is in forbearance. So that's a huge payment. Nobody can
Right.
evict you. That's another big payment. Right. So
Right.
maybe those things, once they're let up and they
Right.
start coming back to you.
Yeah. And you're getting some state benefits, unemployment and whatnot,
Right.
where like, yeah, I'm going to stretch it for as long as I can before I really have to go back to work. And yeah, it's
Wow.
that's been a challenge. Finding the right people has been a challenge for us. Yeah.
Well, I mean, and that's where entrepreneurs flourish, right? We flourish in that moment of everybody's going through these troubles, so the people that
Yeah.
can solve them will be that much better off. So,
Exactly.
and whether it may
Yeah.
be
One hundred
through
percent.
automation, right? Outsourcing. I mean, we're
Right.
looking a lot in the Philippines. We're looking a lot abroad.
Right.
South America, Central America, trying to find the people that do want to work and we can train. And it's like it sucks that we can't hire people locally, but we have
Right.
a business to run.
Absolutely, man. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you
So
gotta. I mean, with the world that we live in, especially after COVID, I mean, people are okay with just having your team all over the world, and
yeah,
it doesn't, as long as they're working with what they need to do, they don't have to be in your local area.
yes, for sure.
Mm.
So now let me ask you, how you doing all this marketing and everything? What do you recommend to manage all these leads? So what do you have a CRM that you use?
Yeah, let me think about it. That's a tough question. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, yeah,
There
yeah,
you
yeah.
go.
This one, right? Yeah, no, man. I mean, so I moved 2015. I moved from Chicago to San Diego. I mean, again, that was probably the reason why I started REsimpli was once I moved, I had all these things that I was doing in Chicago. Once you're like so much into one thing, you don't step out of it and look at like from, a outside perspective, from 10,000 foot view or whatnot. So once I moved to San Diego, that kind of like shifted my perspective at how I was looking at my business. I'm
Hmm.
like, I have all these things that I need to do, and I'm not going to be there myself to do those. Is there a way I can like do all of these, in one system? I can run my entire business from one platform. So that's where, the idea of REsimpli came. And it's been like, I mean, I didn't start the company in 2015. I think it was like 16 or 17 that I started the company. And it is, what it is now. So it's been a very interesting journey with that. But yeah, the goal was, again, I'm an accountant. Uh, so the goal was I have to know my numbers. That's the only way,
Hmm.
I know what's going on with my business. People lie, numbers never lie. So, I had to know the numbers. So we whatever we built, we did it with very strong, focus on data analytics part of it, like KPIs part of it. So I knew, without somebody on my team telling, hey, this is what's going on. No, I said, no, no, no. I want to go into the system and see, what's going on with the business actually. I don't want to hear the stories. I don't want to hear somebody's opinion. I want to see the actual numbers. And then like that's kind of where everything started, with it would be cool to have something where everybody on my team could be in one system. They could do their own thing and just, do their own part of the business. And this system kind of manages all the different moving pieces.
And I mean, now that when you mentioned that you're an accountant, RE simply started making more sense in my head because the
Right.
level of analytics, data, key points, everything that you have in there, it makes a lot of sense that you're an accountant because it's I was chatting through with you and how you said, this essentially is replacing QuickBooks. I was like,
Right.
no. And I looked through it, I was like, holy crap. I was like, it really tracks
Right.
everything.
It does. Yeah, it does. I mean, and some of the things we're rolling out this year, our goal is to have everything ready for next year tax return time, where people can just use REsimpli and then send the reports to their accountant, and then that's all they need. Yeah.
My God.
So I mean,
Wow.
yeah. I mean, there's a lot that goes on in the background, but again, like some of the things that we do is, it's everything starts with, okay, somebody who has no idea what the hell we're doing, they come in, they should not, it should all make sense. We don't want to keep adding things just for the sake of adding things. It has to make sense. Like, I mean, it's like creating a recipe. You don't want to put too much salt, because
Right.
you need enough salt, but you don't need too much salt. You don't need too much black pepper and everything. It just has to come together, and it has to make sense at the end of the day for the person that's using it.
I've tried a lot of CRMs, and when people ask me what's the best CRMs to use, I tell them honestly, you're better off kind of using something free like a Podio until until you really grow your business, and then you got to build your own. Because
Right.
I've seen a lot of CRMs out there, and it's just they sell lists, and you
Right.
can manage some leads kind of CRMs,
Right.
right? Because they're
Right.
not real CRMs. They're just more
Right.
like list providers, and you can also kind of do this. But
Right.
they're so limited. You can do this to a certain extent, and then everything else ends up being filled in your notes section because you have
Right.
you can't really do that, and you need still like 4 or 5 other systems. So
Right.
with all that, what makes REsimpli so different from pretty much all the other CRMs out there? I'm sure you've seen your competitors, you've seen the people out there. Why do you feel that REsimpli stands out so much more?
I mean, I've never used any other system. I've never used Podio myself. Also, we use a different CRM to manage our REsimpli customers, but I don't use it personally. Like my team uses it. I think, I've never thought about this. I mean, it's like, one thing I'll tell you is, like, everything that we build, we absolutely build it with love and passion. Like, we don't, before we build something, I mean, we try to put a lot of thought into it, like how it would make sense. And one of the things we do now more and more is, since, this year we started doing it, you're on our Facebook group. Like, before we roll out something, we ask, hey, what do you want to see first? You want to see this? You want to see this? And then, even so, once you say, okay, I want to see this, then we will post the designs. What do you think of this? Does this make sense? The first version that was rolled out, it was literally built on my business. Like, now when you go and see assign to buy it, that was not there in the first version that we had, because I had never assigned a deal in my life. So
Right.
I still haven't. But then once we rolled it out, people say, hey, can you add a column for assigned to buyer? I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. And a lot of things that are coming out, I don't personally like use it in my business because my business is different. But then a lot of other people are using it, and then, like, oh, this makes sense. So we need to build this out. And then,
Right.
we every quarter we send out an email asking for feedback. Hey, what do you want to see next? So that gives us like a list of, 100 different things to do. But then we have to go through, okay, this specific thing, all 100 people requested. But this one thing, only one person requested. So, we have to prioritize these, one thing that every single one is asking for. And then once we have that, that builds our roadmap. But before we go deeper into it, what we do is, we post on our Facebook group, hey, okay, we're building this out. How do you want this to look? What should it look like? So that saves us a lot of time and effort. And then it ends up creating a product that people actually want, rather than we
Yes.
saying, hey, this is something you're going to love. No, you tell us, what do you want to see? We'll go back. It's like, we have a restaurant. You tell us whatever you want to eat. We'll go back. We'll build it. You taste it. You like it. Then we'll build more of it.
Right.
So yeah,
And
I don't know. Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
no, I love that about it. When I joined the Facebook group and I saw how active it is with, people saying, hey, this feature's not quite working. And you're
Right.
on there instantly, or you or
Right.
one of your team members are on there. Try this here. Oh, I'll send it. I'll get it fixed, and you fix it right away. And then you put
Right.
out, like, I love when you guys are putting out, hey, I'm thinking either this or this, like what works better? What do you guys want to see? What features do you
Right.
like? So you're having
Right.
the people that are using it consistently, because those are the people that
Right.
are on the group contributing, are the people that are actually
Yeah.
using it. Um,
Exactly.
and your the way you guys respond, your feedback, your response from customer service and everything is, I haven't seen it anywhere else. And it just this is why I've grown to love REsimpli so quickly, because of that. And it's something that,
Yeah.
the features you guys have, I mean, I'll just share from my perspective is, my leads come in and I can automatically tag them. So I make sure I understand what campaign they're in. I can track which campaign they're coming from. I have phone numbers within the system that record my calls with the people. The biggest thing that I loved that got me in originally was the activity log, that I can open
Right.
up a lead. It shows me when I texted somebody, the call that we had. It has the recording, it has the text messages, it has my notes, it has everything in like a timeline. So if I ever need
Right.
to go back and follow up, I see everything in one
Right.
place,
Yep.
and that has just been tremendously helpful for me.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's like thanks for like the next week update that's going to come out. We're going to improve activity log. So you have like
Mm.
pre-filtered tabs in there. So if you just want to see the calls, you just click there. It shows you all the calls. If you just want to see the note, it goes in. So you don't even like, the goal now is to, okay, we have all these things. How do we make it more user friendly? Where you need the information and you don't have to, you have everything you need, but you don't have to click 5 times to get that information. You just click once and it's all there. So that's the next evolution of, okay, we have all these things, we're going to keep adding new things, but the ones that we have, how can we make it way more value add? We're working on like completely like redoing the list stacking. It's going to be very, very focused on marketing. Like, how can we help you with the marketing part of it? We're going to tell you which people you send direct mail to, which people you cold call, so you just always know every single lead that you have in the pipeline, what have you done with that specific record. So like you get the value out of every single record that you have in REsimpli. So that's the exciting part. It's just, okay, how do we keep adding more and more value? I
Yeah.
mean, I do daily call, I mean, not daily, but I do weekly calls with my support team, where I tell them, okay, all the feedback you get, no matter how small, how big, let me know, because it helps us make a decision on, okay, what do we need to do next. Some people are more vocal about, hey, I want to see this, but some people are not. They may just say something on a call with the support team, hey, it would be great if you did this. So we gather all that feedback, we put it in a sheet, and we kind of go through and see, okay, we've had 80% of the people request this, and only 10% of people request this, which we thought was important. But every, like, even the post that I made last week about, we're rolling out those tabs. Hey, what tab do you want to see as default? I had originally told my developer, let's just do whatever tab they were on last, let's just make that as default. But I say, you know what, let me just put it on Facebook, let me just confirm this. And everybody selected the other option. I'm like,
Mm.
oh, I would have never guessed that. But now, I don't have to think about it. Like, that's what you requested, and that's what we're going to provide. So,
Yeah.
things like those make my life much, much easier on that end.
Well, and you've also, from the first, because you guys recently rolled out 2.0, the new version, right?
Right.
All new design, everything. So even from the previous version that I started with that one, it's gotten more and more intuitive. And that's one
Right.
thing I like, because with a lot of CRMs, they get so complex when they try to do everything, because this is where I feel like CRMs got into trouble, or they kind of become obsolete, is when they try to cater to wholesalers, fix and flip, buy and hold, all this, and then it just becomes this massive CRM
Right.
that's like, I just, now I got to go like 7 clicks in to find this one little piece of data,
Yep.
right? And
Right.
you guys, you cater, I believe you cater to everything, but it's just so easily to access
Right.
everything. And I think it's because of that community feedback, right? I mean, they're telling
It
you
is. Oh,
like,
100%. 100%. I mean, if I was trying to build it on my own, I would hit the ceiling. I would come up with the things that I'm using in my business on a day-to-day basis. But after a certain point, like, I don't wholesale anything. So, for us, like I don't even have a buyer's list. So when we added the buyers, that was all based on the feedback. Hey, we want to send out emails, we want to do text blasts. I don't specifically use that feature, but when we get the feedback, then for me, it's like, okay, if I were doing that, how would I want to do that? It's not just you can do that, but how easily can you do that? It's about like, you're driving from New York to Chicago. You can go from New York to Texas, go to Chicago. You still end up in Chicago, but is that the best route you could have taken to go to Chicago? Or you could have just gone straight on, 8094 and just gone straight from New York to Chicago. So that's something we have to think. It doesn't have to, it's not just about getting somebody to the end destination. It's about getting somebody to the end destination and as efficient and as productively as we possibly can. So that's the exciting part. It's not just throwing something out there. It's like, okay, we created this. How can we make it as simple as possible for somebody to use this and add value to their business?
So, what are some key features that you feel contribute to REsimpli success? Like, how do you describe REsimpli to a wholesaler, a fix and flip buyer, buy and hold buyer, investor? How do you describe it to them as far as the features that they can use? Why REsimpli makes sense for them? Like, what are the best features that you feel REsimpli showcases?
I think from a wholesaler's point of view, it's definitely. I mean, I believe the drip campaigns is the one that adds the most value, in terms of automating your sellers follow up, and then the KPI tracking. There's certain things we've done where people originally they come and say, hey, why can't I customize this? But once we go into, hey, this is why you cannot customize this, because it does so many other things on the back end. If we don't allow the customization, and people are like, oh, I get it, and then 99.9% of people, they get it, they see why the things are set up the way they are. But I would say drip campaign, and now that we've added what do you call the buyers list management, and then also the fact that they can call, all their call recording, text, and everything is within the system, so they don't need CallRail or any other system to manage that. So I think those are the things, like based on like what we hear back from the people, like those are some key things that they love about REsimpli.
Yeah, I gotta, we had to start doing so much more marketing ourselves when the pandemic started. Before, we used to buy pretty much off of wholesalers and just our network. They always used to bring us deals.
Right.
And we started doing a lot of marketing, and then just tracking the marketing was such a nightmare. I mean, we had Excel spreadsheets, I had Podio, my goodness, it just like multiple softwares to track the phone numbers, the calls, the recordings. It was a lot fell through the cracks. And that was what I liked, is that, the activity log, how you can track that, and then the phone numbers, that you can get phone numbers that stay in the system. You can call people from those numbers, text people from those numbers. You get the recording. Everything is documented and kept in one place. So as a wholesaler, Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, it's those simple things, right? I mean, at the end of the day, like when you start the business, it's getting your deal after a point of time is sort of like the easy part, but it's getting your deal in the most efficient possible way. That's the challenge, right? There's one thing is you make $100,000 revenue, but you spend $80,000 in marketing and you net with 20,000. Is that a better option versus you only make 90,000, but you only spend 50,000 in marketing? Now you net with 40,000. So I think that's where we add a lot of value in. Hey, for every dollar that you put into marketing, how much money is coming back into the business? Like that's, at the end of the day, that's what you need to know. I put $1 in direct mail, cold calling, whatever that might be, but I got $5 back. I got $4 back. I got $3 back. And then based on that, you make decisions. I mean, those are the things, that's some things that we're looking to automate more and more on our end. So, rather than having just the data, we want to tell you, hey, by the way, this was the best marketing for you in last quarter, last month. So, you might want to focus a little bit more on this, or, you're spending money on this, but it's not really getting any revenue. You might want to just slow down on this. So that's the more exciting part of it. Like that's where we want to do more and more in terms of data analytics, like, helping people make better decisions without them doing all the data analytics. Like
Wow.
where we tell you, this is kind of, based on how you're running your business, if you do more of this, it's going to help you versus, and do less of this. So it's not about making more gross revenue. It's about, at the end of the day, what you want to do is take more net income, in hand at the end of it. So
Right.
that's where we want to add more and more value.
Well, and it's nearly impossible for you to understand where you should pretty much hit the accelerator on and where you should hit the brake on if you're not tracking
Right.
these metrics, right? And to track
Exactly.
them on your own, it's so tedious. It's so much
Yep.
work. I mean, I know wholesalers that they'll come up with a campaign, they'll hit the
Right.
campaign once, and then they'll go and come up with a different campaign because the amount of things that they need to do to track what ended up
Right.
happening with that campaign is so much and so
It
tedious
is.
that they
Right.
just let it go.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's why, like, so those things that I said, like, those are the ones that we will do on the back end. On the front end, we want you to just simply drag and drop a lead, just keep it as simple as possible. Like, do what you want to, what your acquisition person doesn't want to do all of this, right? Your acquisition person, all they want to do is, hey, I want to just call this lead. And when it's appointment, I want to move it to appointment. I want to move it to offer. I want to move it to under contract. So that's all we want you to do. And now let's say if you have a bookkeeper, your bookkeeper should only do what the bookkeeper needs to do. It's just keeping books. And then the way everything is built in, if your acquisition person is doing what he or she needs to do, the bookkeeper is doing what he or she needs to do. That's it. The system will talk to each other and get all your data in, in the manner that you need to see. Like all the reporting and everything will be done on the back end. But on the front end, like people are doing only the part that they need to. They don't need to worry about, oh, I got to make sure this. Now we've built it the way that you're just doing simple things and everything is happening on the back end. And then you as the owner of the business is getting reporting on, okay, this is what you need to do more of. This is what you need to do less of.
Right. Man. And now that's for the wholesaler side. And it's powerful tools, everything from the drip campaigns to being able to automate all these things. What about for a fix and flip buyer? Like for somebody that's doing fix and flips, where does the system cater to them?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's what I do, fix and flip. So you can manage your complete inventory. So that's like, lead pipeline is different from your inventory pipeline. So you can manage everything from anything that you buy new to, the ones that you're rehabbing, the ones that you have listed for sale, the ones that you have under contract, the ones you've sold. So all of that is all manageable. So that's what my business primarily is. We do a lot of marketing, but we don't assign anything. We close on everything. It comes in our inventory, and then my project manager takes over and she manages our project until it, she hands over to basically the listing agent. But she's doing all the scope of work, all the accounting, all the bookkeeping. So I've given her access to bookkeeping within the system. So at any given time when we're doing our weekly calls, I know exactly how much money has been spent on the property, and she has access to that. So she knows how much money we have spent. If our budget is 40,000 on a rehab, so she doesn't have to get that data from the bookkeeper now. The bookkeeper is doing her part, but then my project manager has that access to that specific information for that property where she can go in and see, okay, out of 40,000, we've already spent 30,000, so we have a budget left over for 10,000. And then we're listing, then we're making those decisions. So it's not we're asking our bookkeeper to keep sending us reports. Our bookkeeper has already done that. The reports are already there. It's where it needs to be for my project manager, for my listing agent to see, okay, if you're going to list a house, if we get an offer on a property, that we thought we were going to get 250, but we got an offer for 225. And then we can go in and see right then and there how much money do we have into it. Like, should we just take an offer, or no, we spend way too much money. So those are all the decisions that have been much faster for us as a fix and flip company. That we used to have our bookkeeper send us an Excel report that we will look at and say, okay, let's do this. And now those are instant decisions for us.
Yeah. Wow. And for buy and hold, do you have a way to track buy and holds?
You can track all the financials. You can track all the financials related to the property, but not the tenants part of it. That's something it's going to be coming later on. But yeah, you can track all the financials related to your buy and hold.
Okay. Now, I wanted
Right.
to ask you, because you mentioned this before, is user access. So this is, I believe, another big feature, and another extremely helpful feature is that you can add users to your account and
Right.
limit and direct what kind of access they have, even to like specific campaigns. So if you're, let's say,
Yep.
managing a lot of leads and you have multiple campaigns, but you don't want this person talking to this type of campaign, right? You can
Yep.
limit all this, right? Can you go into a little bit
Absolutely.
more detail of the users?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can do down to the campaign. So let's say if you have, for example, PPC leads, right? Let's say a PPC leads coming and you want those leads because you're spending a lot of money. You want those leads to come straight to you. You don't want anybody else on your team to talk to them, because you want to handle those leads. So you can make it such that you have access to those, so you get notified. But versus your other direct mail, cold calling, or other leads, you want to round robin between different people, or you want all your direct mail leads go to one person, or round robin. You can customize this, and then you can also customize a specific stage in the pipeline, that if you only want your acquisition person to see the leads once they get your appointment, you don't want them to see anything that's in prospecting, then you can limit that access. Like for me in my team, I have my bookkeeper. She only has access. She doesn't need to know anything about leads, inventory. All she needs to have access to is the accounting piece, the bookkeeping piece. So that's all she has access to. When she logs in, that's all she's doing. She's not doing anything else. She doesn't need to know, hey, where we got the lead. All she needs to do, how much money we spend, how much money she just needs to do the bookkeeping. And then my project manager, she's her primary work is managing our project. So she has full access to the inventory, but in the leads, she has only view access, because she doesn't need to do anything in the leads. So she only needs to know what other projects we have coming in the pipeline so she can see. But project she's managing, she's talking to contractors, she's getting bids and whatnot. So she has full access to project management
Mm.
side of it. But then we've also limited that nobody on our team has access to delete leads. They don't have access to export leads. So we can also limit that. They don't have access to delete somebody else's comment. So if somebody on my team makes a comment, I can block it. So, if I have person B, they cannot go in and delete person A's comment or edit them. So, we've
Right.
added those restrictions also. We've added like other restrictions, and you can give access to somebody to a specific module. If you don't want anybody to see your KPIs, then you can block it. They will not have access to the KPI section.
Yeah, yeah, I saw
Right.
that, and I love that they don't need to. Well, you guys have it as a banking section, right, where you have
Right.
all of your finances, all your numbers, and they don't need to have access to that. And I
Yep.
love the fact that they
Exactly.
can't export, they can't delete. So even if, like myself, that we're going through so many, we're trying to find acquisitions people, I don't have to worry about them trying to export. I mean, the only way they can export it is, one, they only have access to a certain
Yeah.
campaign. They need to literally just sit there and write down
Exactly.
every, and at that point, it's like,
Right.
have at it,
Yeah. I
you
mean,
know?
yeah. Then exactly. And then the other thing is, that, and then also, I mean, if you have somebody like that, then, I mean, there's nothing, system is not going to do anything about it. I think it's just like, if they need to write down the information, then they can write down. But other thing that, once people start using it, they're using REsimpli. The another cool thing that they notice is, let's say if you have an acquisition manager, like what a lot of people used to do before switching to REsimpli is they would get a lead, for example, in the pipeline. Then they would have the acquisition person call from the acquisition person's cell phone, right? Which was very normal. And now we tell them, you don't need to have the acquisition person call from their cell phone, because let's say if they leave the company, now they own the lead. You have the information, but all the relationship has been built with the acquisition person's cell phone. So you have the built-in phone system. If you're calling, you know, like what we do is, once a lead calls in, the call comes in, and it goes to announcing service. After that, when we're calling, we never tell the lead, hey, call me on a different number. Because
Right.
like right away the lead starts, hey, why do I need to call you on a different number? You sent me a postcard with this phone number. Now why are you asking me to call you on a different number? Some people mind that, some people don't, but nobody would question that, hey, this is the number you call me on, just keep all your communication on this number. So now let's say your acquisition person is calling from the same number. You can change the call routing once it becomes a lead, that it can be routed to the acquisition person directly, so it doesn't go through the answering service. But now let's say your acquisition person ends up leaving. You own the phone number, you own the communication, you own everything with that lead. The acquisition person, the lead doesn't say, oh, I've been talking to this person on their cell phone. No, and that's the nature of the business. Especially on the acquisition side, you have a lot of people come in. You'll teach them in the business, and they see, oh, I can do this on my own. I don't need to work for you. Or they go out, they move to a different town, or they do something else. But then you own everything related to that lead. So that's a key thing. Once people start using one phone number, they see the value in, like, not having to tell the lead, oh yeah, call me on this number or that one. No, just keep calling me on this number. You can text me, you can call me, you can do whatever you want on this number only, and then we'll keep all the communication. If they can send pictures, they can send videos, or whatever that might be. So I think that's another powerful thing that people see a lot of value in.
Yeah, and I've definitely found a lot of value in that, because again, everybody comes in and, yeah, I want to do whatever, I'll do anything, and as soon as they start doing cold calls, all of a sudden their motivation and hunger kind of starts dying off, because it's not easy, but I don't know why they thought it would be. But right. I love that it's like, sure, no problem. They leave. I switch the call flow, comes right back to me or my business partner. We keep control of everything. I can go back. I can listen to all the calls that were being done. I can catch up on that lead at any given time.
Exactly. Now imagine if your acquisition person has called from their cell phone. You have no idea, if what the tone of the conversation, what the context of the conversation was. If your acquisition manager was, courteous, or if he was rude on the call, you have no idea. But if you have the call recording in the system, then you know exactly how the call went. And then you can pick up from right there. You don't have to, oh, I'm sorry, you talked to this person. I don't know what you talked about. Can you please get me caught up? I mean, people get irritated by that, especially when you're trying to convert a cold lead into a warm lead, and you're telling them to just, hey, can you just get me caught up on everything that you talked to this person about? You don't want to do that. You just say, hey, I know you talked to John about this, but let's talk about what the next step. So it's like the continues in the conversation.
Yeah, and I love how you can control that. They can't delete the lead. They can't delete a comment. So then that way, because you do have people that act in a not so honest way, but once the call's been done, it's in the system. And even if they're like, oh, I want to go remove it because, you can't. Like, it's in the system. You have no control over that anymore. So as the owner of the business, as the owner of the the management and everything, is like, I want to make sure that nobody can screw up a whole business that way.
Exactly.
So very, very powerful. I love all the features. I mean, I typically don't, and I mean, not typically, I definitely don't endorse anything, just because I've tried them all, and I'm just like, man, this falls way short. I still kept going back to just doing my own thing. And we really researched up until I found REsimpli, we were working on building our own CRM. Right. And as soon as I found it and I started playing with it and everything, I called the developers we were working with, and I was like, yeah, let's just scrap this. I was like, I'm done. I was like, I am not going through this headache of building it.
Sorry about those developers.
Yeah, and then you guys, if there's an excellent idea, you guys do it. And if you don't do it, it's because it's most likely not an excellent idea, and you should rethink it in your own business of like, am I making this process harder by needing this part?
Exactly. That's the thing. Like, some of the customization we don't allow, because it's like, what we were talking about initially. When you give people too many options, they get overwhelmed. When you make it, hey, this has been proven. We have people that are doing hundreds of deals a year on our platform using this. So if they can manage their deals, doing more than 100 deals a year, every month they're doing 10 plus deals. If they can manage it, you can 100% manage it. Like, it's like when people get bogged down by, oh, I have to have this feature. No, you don't. Like, you just need something where at any given time where it is, in your pipeline, that's all you need. I mean, people can do it on a pen and paper also. I still to this day I use pen and paper. Like this is
Right.
literally our process of product development. I go through, I write notes. We don't use anything fancy. It's simple, pen and paper. That's it. And
Yeah.
and then we just go back. I write down my ideas. I talk to my team. I'm like, okay, this is how we need to do. I literally sketch it if I need to. Like I'll sketch it and say, this is where the button needs to be. This is what it needs to look like. I send it to them, and that's the simple process that works for me for that part of my business, because that doesn't need any automation for it. But then I think sometimes people get, oh, I have to have this. I have to be able to change the column status or whatnot, add one. No, you don't really need to. Yes, you can. I mean, in a different system, but is that really that's stopping you from getting that next deal?
Correct.
Um,
Yeah, I
yeah.
mean
So
it's not drowning in the little details that just really
exactly.
don't matter all that much. Um,
Right.
what are some features that you have coming down the line that people can expect moving forward with REsimpli?
I mean, we just posted what last week. Dialer for sure. Actually, after this call, my designer sent me the updated design for the design dialer that I'm going to review, and then completely updated list stacking. So list stacking is sort of going to become your marketing hub, more than you're going to be able to do everything you can, but you'll be able to basically kind of know what's going on with your marketing, also how many people you marketed to. And then vendor management is another thing that a lot of people have asked for. So you can manage your attorneys, your title companies, and other, vendors that you work with. So you can manage contractors, but I mean,
Yeah.
basically just like you can call your sellers and buyers, you will also be able to email your vendors also. So
My
those are the
goodness.
things. What,
Talk
yeah,
about an all-in-one system. It's I honestly I couldn't give you guys any more praises on this system because it's amazing all the things you've done on it. Now, this is available where you have it web-based where, you have apps.
yeah. We have web-based and iOS app, and finally, we rolled out our Android app that
Yeah.
some of a lot of Android people are happy about. So yeah, that's another big project for us. Is this quarter basically we want to make it more mobile friendly. So everything you can do on the web with the leads, not with the whole system, you'll be able to do on the app. So e-sign, send direct mail, everything from, I mean, you can already do a lot. You can call, text, and do a bunch of other things, but basically everything you can do on the web with the dashboard page, and then the leads page, that's going to be on the iOS and the Android app.
And that's something that, you had the nail on the head with, because I've had people, they're like, well, you can't access the whole CRM on the app. It's like, why would you want to? I don't want to
Right.
see my KPIs, my accounting, everything on a little tiny
Yeah.
screen. Like that's something that you
Yeah.
need.
I mean, that's always a challenge. It's a fun challenge because I mean, I use a 24-inch monitor, so when I look at something on a design, I have to go back to my regular laptop because that's what a lot of people use. But then when you go from web to app, that's a whole different, because you have different phone sizes, and then you have to manage everything like that 5-inch screen, and you want to make sure it doesn't like feel all forced, that you have everything. It has
Right.
to flow naturally. It has to make sense. That the button needs to be where it makes the most sense. So that's always the challenge. When we're adding things, like how do we make it fit everything on that 5-inch screen without making it seem very, very forced? So that's a fun challenge. But yeah, you're right. I mean, we're never going to be able to have everything on the web work on the app, because there's certain things like
Yeah.
it's just not going to make sense to
You
do
shouldn't.
it on the, I mean, it'll be
Yeah.
much faster, much easier to just do it on the computer than trying to do everything on the phone.
Yeah.
So yeah, but most of the most basic things like calling, texting, emailing, those you will be able to do. I mean, those you can already do, but some of the other things will be coming out on the app.
Yeah, no, and I think it's excellent, all the improvements on the app as well. Um, so you have your real estate investment company, you have a property management company, you have REsimpli. Um, how do you manage all of this and your personal life? How do you balance that out? Like, what are some of the things that you do to kind of keep that balance, make sure, because you're married and you have kids?
2 kids, yeah.
2 kids. So how do you manage
Right.
that home life to make sure that with all of these businesses, all of these projects that you have going on, I mean, you live in Canada, you invest in Indiana, you have all of this. What do you have in place, or how do you manage that kind of work-life balance, as people call it?
Yeah, I mean, like once, I mean, I use my calendar a lot. So once I've set
Mm-hmm.
something on my calendar, then it just basically tells me what I need to do. But I just have to make sure I put stuff on my calendar that I want to and I need to do.
Mm.
But once it's on my calendar, I mean, down to vacation days, like I put vacation on my calendar. That means just I'm not available. And then just delegating more and more. Like yesterday, we actually let go of somebody in our company that wasn't living up to our core values, and these are our core values right here
Right.
on this wall. And we let go. And then you've talked to Daniel, I believe, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I told her, look, you don't need to reach out to me for every little decision. I trust you enough that you can make that decision and you can tell me after the fact that, hey, this is what I did and this is why I did that. That's all I need to know, because I want to make decisions about the things that I know I can add the most value with. Um, but then like it's calendar, like every day, either 11:30 to 12:30, depending on the day, or 4:30 to 5:30. I'm working out. No matter what happens, Monday to Friday, uh, either 11:30 to 12:30 or 4:30 to 5:30 is my workout time. That's it. Like I'm not available. And then when I'm plugged in, like when I'm on Facebook, then I'm not trying to do anything else that's that requires my attention. So like when I'm on Facebook, then that's it. Like I'm just replying to posts. I'm not trying to think of a next feature to build, for example. But when I'm thinking of something that's important, then I'm completely disconnected. Like I'm on this call right now, my phone is switched off. If
Yep.
somebody calls me one time, two times, or 1,000 times, I have no idea, because this is what I'm 100% committed to.
Wow.
And then that's it. I think it just, uh, the one thing book, I talked about, that was a huge influence. In my flipping business, for example, I've delegated most of the decisions, like almost all of the decisions, to the point where after last 50, 60 houses that I've flipped, I haven't even um, stepped foot into any one of them. I don't think, I haven't stepped foot into any house since last year, none whatsoever. Um, like even my project manager, she actually lives in California and she manages everything in Indiana, to the point where it's not like she's flying back and forth every month. She goes there once every year and she's managing all her contractors. Like I've never met my contractors, I've never talked to them. I don't even know their names, because that's not where I'm adding the value. I've created a different bank account for my project manager. I move money into that account and she's taking care of all the payments. So I have to trust her to manage that. And then I say, hey, you trust it? I'm just managing everything by numbers. That's it. That's all I need to know. You tell me upfront it's going to be 40,000. Fine. We buy our property based on that 40,000 decision number that you give me. And then it's her responsibility to make sure it gets done in 40,000, because she's getting incentive based on that. So I'm not looking at it on a day-to-day basis. Like we're just going to, when we're doing our weekly calls, we literally have 1 hour call every Thursday from 10:30 to 11:30, and that's the call I'm on, where my acquisition manager is there, my project manager, and my CEO is there on the call, and then we just quickly go through all our KPIs in REsimpli. We're like, okay, this is how much we spent, makes sense, and we make decisions that we need to. Other than that, that's it. Like, you know, and then
Wow.
same thing on the REsimpli and property management. Same thing. I've given profit sharing to my employees in the property management company. Look, you guys run it like it's your own business. I want to make sure you're happy with the money that you're making, and then you run it how you think is best. I'll do a call with you once a week. In those calls are Thursday in the afternoon, 1 o'clock. That's it. You just tell me how the numbers are. That's all I need to know. If the numbers make sense, that's all I need to know. I don't need to know anything else. I mean, if there's anything else they want to talk about, we can talk about that. But I don't have to make all the decisions. I just want to make the decisions that actually make me happy. I mean, hiring a contractor, fighting a contractor, that's not going to make me happy. That's not what my strength is. My strength is, okay, what do we need to do? Like, what's the vision of the business? Like, do we need to go in a different market? Do we need to pick a different marketing strategy, based on the numbers that we have? And that's where I add value, and not, on the nitty gritty of it.
I can. I feel like we can go on for a long time because just on that alone, I mean, I have a million questions because I'm in that position of delegating, outsourcing, passing responsibilities off, giving people that confidence that, like you're saying, that they
Right.
can make the call and don't worry about if it's the wrong call, you're going to get fired because I
Right.
gave you the flexibility to make that call, right?
Right.
Yes, if you make a mistake, we'll address it, we'll try to fix it and make sure it doesn't happen, but
Right.
you're not going to lose your job over it, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly. Yeah, and at the same time, you don't want to give somebody like an intern a business critical decision to make. You know, so you have to, like, I mean, people have to earn the trust that you give them. They can't just walk in and say, okay, I'm like giving you all this trust. They have to earn, like, you give them a little bit, see how they're performing, and then if they're doing good, you add another, just keep stacking more responsibilities to them, and you just see at what point they cannot handle. And if their capability is to handle 5 things and they're amazing at it, just let them handle those 5 things. And if you
right.
give them the sixth one and everything starts falling apart, then maybe either it's something that you've given them the sixth thing that they're not handled, or if you just given overburden them. So that's, but I mean, my project manager has been with me for 5, 6 years now. Yeah. And yeah, and she manages all my projects to the point where I trust her. She hires the people, and she lets go of somebody if she needs to, as far as like contractors and stuff like that. I don't even need to, that's her part of the business. And the better we do, the more money she makes. So it's like she's on a base plus profit sharing. So like it's in her best interest to get the project done in lowest amount of time and the lowest
Right.
amount of budget, because then we're making more money as a company, and she's getting more money made from that.
No, it makes perfect sense,
Right.
and that was kind of the motto that we've been thinking about. Because right now, my business partner John, he's the one that handles the projects, and we
Right.
want to outsource project management and all that, and that's what we thought would be the best route. It's do base plus. That way, you have an incentive to make sure that
Yep.
everything's getting done in time and on budget.
Yeah, absolutely. Like
Um,
what we do is for our projects is like we even factor in the holding cost, like to the interest cost, right? So if you borrowed money from someone, so every day that the project is not sold, it's costing us money because we borrowed money. So that goes into the net profit calculation, because we don't want to look at the direct cost. I mean, it is, the interest is not maybe tied to a specific property. We might have a loan, let's say for $500,000, that's against 2 or 3 properties. But then we have to, when we do the net numbers, we take the interest cost also. So then my project
mhm.
manager also knows, this. I mean, making $50,000 in 1 week is completely different from making $50,000 on a project over 2 years. So then we
Yeah.
have to factor those costs also, and then that's why our goal is to get the project done as quickly as possible in the least amount of money possible, and that's where she's making the most money.
No, it's very smart, and then no wonder why it's working. As we wrap up, where can people sign up for REsimpli? How can they get that CRM and get access to all this?
Sure. I mean, they can go to REsimpli.com, and I believe we set up a page with you guys, right?
Yes.
REsimpli.com/John or Prior Homes. I don't Prime Home,
Yeah.
so I
I'll
don't
put the
remember.
link below
Yeah.
so
So
people can click on
yeah,
it.
yeah. So they can get, and if they sign up through that, they get 20% off the first month, which they don't if they go directly to our website. So
Wow.
but even when they go directly to our website, we ask them how did they hear about us. So if they put your name, they still get the 20% discount on the first month subscription. So I would say, yeah, so go to that link that you're going to put in the the show notes, and then go
Amazing.
through that link. Yeah, and then we offer unlimited onboarding support. So when people sign up, we want to make sure they actually are getting value. So somebody from our team will reach out as soon as somebody signs up. Hey, here's a link to our calendar. Let's set up an onboarding call and make sure your team or you are fully onboarded and understand how to use everything that we have to offer.
And that's another amazing feature that I took advantage of, and I was surprised at how much it helped, is the onboarding and how you guys will also onboard somebody else for us. Like if we're bringing on a team member or something, you'll do the same onboarding meeting with them and show them pretty much the system. How does the system work? All the things. It's amazing. Amazing service.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of time we get featured requests for something that's already there, and then people are not just aware of it. So that's why we highly recommend doing an onboarding call. So this way you know where everything is and all the features that there are in the system that you can get value from. And it's free. It doesn't cost anything at all.
Yeah, no, it's by far amazing, and definitely something if you are a member, and as soon as you become a member of REsimpli, you got to schedule that meeting, because even if you feel like you understand it, there's so many things that I didn't even know you guys had available. So, I mean, that onboarding call was a huge, huge help for me. So there you have it, guys. I mean, 20% off. That's a huge discount that you can get off the bat. So make sure you click on that link. And if other people wanted to reach out to you and get a hold of you, what's the best way if they had more questions or something like that? What's the best way to reach out to you?
I mean, definitely reach out through our website, REsimpli.com. So we have a live chat. You can call us, text us, email us, and then we're more than happy to, if you need a demo, if you have some questions that you need answered, we're more than happy to jump on a call and answer those questions for you. Like, no obligation, just want to make sure it's the right fit. So we're not trying to push you into one thing. I mean, some people that we talk to, simply it's not the right fit because they just, they haven't even gotten started, so they don't maybe need the system right now. So they may just need to do certain things before they get to the point where they actually need a system to manage the leads that they have. So yeah, I mean, like the best way is to go to our website and then chat, email, call, whatever is most convenient.
All right. Well, Sharad, I want to really thank you for your time. It was amazing the amount of things, the knowledge that you have and the mentality you have. It's refreshing, and I've enjoyed this interview, and I'm very happy I was able to speak to you because your values, your everything, the way you operate yourself in your life and your business, I think is a great lesson for everybody listening to definitely implement. So I wanted to thank you, and thank you for being on our show, and good luck with REsimpli. You have me as a customer, and as anytime you need testimonials, I'm here for that. So
thank you, man. No, thank you for having me on the call, man. No, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it, man. I really enjoyed our conversation.
All right, sir. So thank you all for watching, and make sure you sign up to REsimpli. Use that promo code. You won't regret it. I'm telling you, it's the best CRM out there. I've used it. I continue to use it, and I recommend the crap out of this CRM. It's an amazing software. So thank you all for watching, and we'll definitely catch you all on the next one. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that episode. A ton of value. And like I promised you, 20% discount if you sign up using that promo code. So you will not regret it. I'm telling you, we don't endorse anything, but this CRM is something that I don't think you are going to regret ever getting. So make sure you check it out. Reach out to Sharad or myself if you have any questions. We're here to help. And make sure to check out more of these videos that we're doing on as far as driving for dollars and everything as far as generating your own list and all of the marketing. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I will catch you in the next one.